Welcome to the United Leukodystrophy Foundation presents the ULF in action, and we want you to join our mission. We have presenters that are ULF board and staff members. A quick disclaimer, if you're hopping on hoping to see the Canavan talk, unfortunately, Dr. Gessler had an emergency come up that kept him from presenting today. And so that is why we are hosting this session instead. But I have spoken to Dr. Gessler as well as an additional Canavan researcher, and they have agreed that we will schedule a session in August. So once we have a date for that session, we will be promoting it on the ULF website as well as the ULF social media pages. We will keep you up to date on when we get that session scheduled and how you can participate. With that being said, as a reminder, this session is being recorded, and thank you so much for being with us. I will now pass the torch off to Chris.
Hello, I'm Chris Rice. I'm the Executive Director of the United Leukodystrophy Foundation. The foundation is in the middle of several significant initiatives, and we want you to know about them, in part because we hope that some of you will help us implement the programs. Either by volunteering to be on committees, to serve on the board, or of course, contributing to the foundation. I have the pleasure of introducing the panelists who will share what ULF is working on in the order of their presentations. We start with Bob Rauner, President, who will share the vision of the foundation. ULF Operations Director Keely Haig will talk about patient support meetings in the State Ambassador Program. Bob will return to detail the work to support and collaborate with patient advisory groups. Treasurer Alan Fingerroot will outline the developing plans for the Holtman Family Assistance Program, and then he will summarize the donation and fundraising activity thus far this year. Bob will return to present the CTX initiative and the patient-focused drug development meeting, which is scheduled for September. There should be a few minutes left at the end of this for questions, and we'll address as many as time allows. Now it's time for President Bob Rauner to share the vision of the foundation.
All right, thank you, Chris. It's real exciting to be here with you today and talk about the ULF and a lot of the exciting things we're doing. So I'm going to kind of give you a quick overview of our programs, and I won't go into too much detail on those that are being discussed by other people in this group. So I think the thing we need to start off with is the mission of the ULF. And our mission is to provide support to the leukodystrophy community and enable platforms to accelerate improving patient quality of life and to find cures. Obviously, our vision then is to meet the needs of patients and families, whether they're newly diagnosed or living with a leukodystrophy. Through unified collaboration with advocacy groups, medical and research professionals, and pharma biotech companies, we provide support, networking, education to help navigate the journey of the disease. So as you can see, our vision does have a lot of work involved to make ULF successful. Got about 6 points to draw your attention to. Obviously, our number one focus has always been to host our annual scientific and family meeting to connect families and research. This event today is one of these events, and it is a great opportunity for people to get together, to connect, to make lifelong friendships, and the opportunity to speak with scientific researchers and people that are in their individual disease space. As you look at our agenda for this week, you can see that we have parceled out many different groups that are getting a large education in their own disease. We're really pleased this year with our collaborative effort working with Krabbe Connect and Cure MLD to have focus sessions on MLD and Krabbe. We've also worked with Vanishing White Matter, which is a group that we've been working with for many years and very closely since probably 2012. And we've been supporting their efforts. And today we're able to bring a very large meeting on Vanishing White Matter as there's a lot happening in their space as well. We always have sessions for ALD and AMN, especially because those are the two largest groups of people with leukodystrophy. So we keep focusing, and our goal is just to continue to enlarge the participation throughout the whole leukodystrophy community as we get back in person. We're really excited about that for next year. The next thing we want to create is a patient outreach and growth program that'll have reliable and medically vetted information and support. That's very important, and Keely will be talking about that a little bit later. Next thing we're trying to work on is providing medical education resources that'll reach patient communities, but healthcare professionals as well, and hope that this will lead to early diagnosis, intervention to improve quality of life, and discoveries that may lead to advanced therapies and cures. This is an area that I think is really important to all people as we try and train our doctors as to what do they need to look for to identify leukodystrophy. It was interesting yesterday in the scientific meeting when a couple of doctors were talking how we've changed over the years, but yet we still have a long way to go. And trying to diagnose our leukodystrophies, we've all had misdiagnoses until we ended up finding what the real problem was. So we're hoping this initiative will be very helpful in that outreach. Next thing we want to do is create our newly diagnosed program. And what that will do is offer support and resources to families that have had a leukodystrophy diagnosis. Our main goal of this will be to relieve some feelings of anguish, anxiety, and fear, and give them good information and direction on what pathways they need to follow. So it's an effort that will be under construction, and so it's very important as we move forward with this that we do have people that will help us develop that program. Earlier this year, we began our patient advocacy program, and we've been working with a lot of about 40 different patient advocacy groups to find ways that we can collaborate together and what we can do together. So I will have some more information on that piece of the program a little bit later in this little session. So then our next program is our ambassador program. And I don't really want to have too much to say about that because Keely is our resident expert, and this is kind of the program that she's really excited about developing. And so now that we've been able to have Chris on board, that's very helpful because we will have some time availability that we can start working and building out these programs. So Keely will give you a good update on that. So obviously, as you know, ULF definitely depends on the financial support of people like you. Yeah, we appreciate everything that you do to help keep our foundation in place to go for information and support as you work through the challenges of leukodystrophies. Programs that we intend to offer will take many volunteers, and it'll take funding to make sure that we can create programs that are beneficial to all. Now, even in this time of COVID, you've continued to support the ULF at a high level, and for that we are thankful. We couldn't be here without you. We've been fortunate enough to bring Chris Rice on as our executive director, and he'll help us lead the effort to find resources and create opportunities also for our members to help fundraise for the United Leukodystrophy Foundation. So many of you have found creative ways to raise funds for the foundation, and we're very appreciative of those efforts. We just need to help you to help us continue to grow so we can meet the needs of those that we do not even know today. As you hear more about our programs, consider volunteering to make these programs a success. You can send an email to office@ulf.org, or you can call the office at 800-728-5483 to share your interest. We're also interested in letting you know that if you're interested in serving on our board of directors, you can inquire about that at the same email, and we will send out an application for you to fill out and apply. And as we go forward and need new members, we will start to reach out and start interviewing as possibilities. So the key is we need you so that we can do more for you. So I appreciate you being here today and watching this video later, and we look forward to a great future with you. So now I'll turn this over to Keely, and she will talk about the Ambassador Program and the Patient Support Program.
Great. Thank you, Bob. I believe you also have Margaret on the line with us. Are you guys hearing feedback at all? Shoot. Does it sound okay? Sorry, I was seeing Savan. Okay. Savan nodding, and I wasn't sure if that meant yes, there's feedback, or no, you're okay. I do see that maybe she was there just a second ago. Margaret Halter is on the call as well. So if Margaret, if you want to jump in at any point, if I misspeak or miss anything, Margaret is the ULF board member that I'm going to be working very closely with on initiating the patient support groups and the ambassador program. And so in summary, our patient support groups, we are slowly but surely getting to, I apologize, hold on. Let me see if I can, do I appear to be the center screen, or is Bob still the center screen?
Center screen on mine.
Now I see Margaret. I apologize. Okay. So to give you an idea of what we're hoping to accomplish with our patient support groups. So very slowly but surely, we are building up our patient support groups that will give our community an opportunity to network outside of our annual conference. So those of you that have attended our annual conference, you know that it's much more about the networking that families can do amongst one another, as well as the educational opportunities that are available from the researchers, from experts on various topics, and of course, just the researchers, clinicians offering their advice to the families on the medical side of leukodystrophy. But it's also very important to feel like you have a support network that is not medically related. You need that moral support. You need that emotional support. You need to be able to talk about the concerns of living everyday life with leukodystrophy. And so our patient support group initiative is our foray into helping families connect with one another so that they can provide that emotional support. And of course, we know that there are amazing communities on Facebook and some other social media platforms that allow families to connect. But there is something special about having a in-person, even though it's done through Zoom, but there is something special about having just a dedicated time where you're able to talk and know that that group is there. And so our support groups right now, we have 4 main support groups that we are looking into launching and growing over the next few months. We have caregivers that are spouses, caregivers that are caregivers to adult patients, caregivers to pediatric patients, and then we also have a support group that is meant for siblings, extended family, friends that just need a space to, to vent frustrations, to get advice, all of those things. We want everyone to know that the ULF is supportive of every single member of the leukodystrophy community, and that is not limited to the person that is affected by leukodystrophy just themselves. The people in the leukodystrophy community go much farther beyond that. It's the parents, it's the spouses, it's the friends, it's the siblings, it's the aunts, uncles. All of those people make up the leukodystrophy community because all of them are affected in some way, and not just the person that is themselves affected by the disease. So as we continue to grow as a foundation, the ULF will be providing more opportunities for these support groups. At this moment, we hope to host a support group every other month. We are looking towards upping to every single month. And then as we gather volunteers and other moderating opportunities, we hope to be able to continue to offer those on a more and more regular basis so that our community has that foundational support that they truly need. If you are interested in the support groups, like Bob mentioned earlier, please feel free to send us an email at office@ulf.org. Let us know that you're interested, and we can make sure that you are on our e-blast list so that we can let you know when those opportunities are scheduled, are available. We do ask people to register just so that we can get a little bit of information for you, but we want to stress that you are not required to share any information that you do not want to share. If you want to join the call and just listen, that is absolutely fine. We will not pressure you to participate unless you choose to do so, but we do ask for some very foundational pieces of information because that's helping us to gather help us gather information so that we can direct our efforts in the future. So if you let us know what area of the country you're from, or if you're from another country, we can start looking into hosting regional specific programs. If you let us know what type of leukodystrophy you're affected by, if we see a very large population of that type of leukodystrophy, we can start offering those support groups, specific support groups as well. So we are very much still in a growing point in time for these support groups, but we need your participation and we need your feedback to be able to give you the most beneficial opportunities that we possibly can with these sessions. Margaret, is there anything?
No, you did a great job. You covered it all. Join us. There's only a couple things I have to add, and that's that we will share our calendar with other leukodystrophy organizations as far as the support groups, so we can get across and a collaborative effect and get those groups nice and strong. So it's been nice to share the calendar with ALD Connect and those folks coming in on our meetings. So, and remember, they're not recorded. I have had a few questions about the support groups. We do not record any support groups. So what stays in that room, stays in that room when we're talking.
Yes, I did forget to mention that. I apologize. The support group sessions, including the support group sessions that we will be hosting over the next 2 days with the ULF conference, those will not be recorded at all. And so, like I said, please participate in those if you're interested. Help us grow that program, and please send us your feedback. You're not going to hurt our feelings if you have problems, if you have suggestions, constructive criticism. We welcome that, because at the end of the day, that feedback is what's going to better the programs and make them more valuable to you as a community. So I would like to take a couple of moments to talk about the ambassador program as well. That is still in its very infancy of planning and implementation, but over the next 6 months to a year, we hope that by next year's conference, we will have, the ambassador program will be in full swing and at least have our pilot underway, and we will be able to share much more concrete information. But the ambassador program is intended to be a program that will ask for volunteers from each of the 50 states in the United States. We are going to begin with just a select amount of states, maybe 5 or 6, that we can build the program off of. And then once we feel that we have a good foundation with those select number of 5 or 6 states, we will continue to expand to the rest of the country, with obviously the goal being having at least one ULF ambassador in each of the 50 states. And then once we have the US ambassador program set in place, we will be looking into Canadian and European and expanding to where all of our ULF community is, which is global. So with that being said, the purpose of the ambassador program is to have a ULF touch point that is local to you. So as we have families that are newly diagnosed and they find the ULF and they want to reach out for support, sometimes the ULF isn't necessarily able to give them the specific amount of information that they are truly looking for. As being a foundation that is based out of DeKalb, Illinois, sometimes we do have gaps in our knowledge, and we do everything we possibly can to get people pointed in the right direction. But it can be very daunting for families that are diagnosed, and maybe they got diagnosed in Oklahoma, or they got diagnosed in California or Texas, or they're far away from Illinois, and so they want that connection. And so the ULF ambassador program will allow us to give them a person at least within their state to connect with, that might be able to direct them to state-specific organizations that can assist them. As we all are probably aware, each state has their own Medicare, Medicaid system. Each state has their own disability system. They can all differ, and really it can be very confusing and very daunting to approach those services. And when the ULF is based out of strictly Illinois, we are not offering the best possible assistance that we can be. So our solution to this is to create the ambassador program so that we can offer assistance within each of the 50 states. And we will rely on these ambassadors to be sharing information with us as well, so that we can continue to grow the program and continue to offer the best services that we can across the country, and then eventually throughout the world. And so the ambassador will be a couple of things. It'll be a touch point for families who are newly diagnosed, so that they have someone relatively local to talk to, and they don't have to feel like they are talking to someone that's states away, really far away. But the ambassador will also assist the ULF in keeping their resources up to date, in terms of how do you go about getting these resources within whatever state they are representing. And so we also hope that the states that do not have newborn screening initiatives, the ambassador can assist with newborn screening initiatives within their state as well, and other legislation opportunities that become available for those states. The ambassador, we really intend and hope, will be an arm of the ULF within each of the 50 states, and eventually within other countries as well. So after the conference, and hopefully within July and August and September, I'll be working really closely with Margaret to get this ambassador program its legs, and we can start sharing more information about this program as we have it developed. We will eventually be, when we launch it and we have listening sessions and we're opening to ambassador applications, we will be promoting that through the ULF website, through eBlast, as well as social media. We will certainly let you know when the time comes when we are ready to start accepting ambassador applications. So if you're interested, please keep an eye out for that. Let us know. We would love to hear from you. And again, Margaret, if I missed anything, please feel free to chime in and fill in any gaps that I might have left. Oh, is she still here? Maybe not. She might have had to jump off. Are there any questions that I can answer about the support groups or the ambassador session at this time? All right, well, like I said, if there are any questions, feel free to shoot us an email at office@ulf.org. We will get back to you just as quickly as we can. And I apologize, but I can't remember who goes behind me or goes after me. And I closed out my little agenda for myself. I'm sorry.
I'm the next person up, so.
Okay,
now
there you go.
go,
Back to
Kaylee.
Bob.
Thanks, Keely. I'm going to be talking about, if I can get my sharing abilities to the screen, I want to share a PowerPoint. Let's see, I'm still disabled.
Perhaps the host, Keely or Chris, can try to navigate through the
Yeah,
tricky menu to.
I'd sent a note earlier, but I'm still disabled from screen sharing.
Jose or Lori or Sam or Phil?
I am looking, Bob, and I don't. Oh, I'm sorry. Now give it a shot.
Okay. There we go.
Sorry about that.
Nope, not a problem. Not a problem.
I see.
There we go. All right. This topic is talking about our PAG program that we've are developing, and we've been working really hard on it. And so it's kind of our ideas for today and tomorrow. So I've plugged and played a few of Christy's little slides, and I'll try and do justice for her presentation. She had another commitment this morning, so she left me in charge. So I'll probably hear back from her eventually whether I did good or bad. So one of our goals and the PAG's collaboration is one of our big endeavors as we move forward. There was a time, I think, that the PAGs kind of went their separate ways, and so we've decided that we need to come up with an opportunity to find different ways that we can work together. I think it's really important that we do that, and that way we're not duplicating efforts. And so the trick is to find areas of collaboration and see how our missions fit together. Obviously, our mission is to provide support to the leukodystrophy community and enable platforms to accelerate improving patient quality of life and finding cures. So our belief statement is that partnerships with other leukodystrophy patient advocacy groups, PAGs, will benefit all patients with leukodystrophy by avoiding the duplication of efforts, leveraging resources, unifying the medical and research community, and strengthen our reach, messaging, and awareness. We believe that collaboration can accelerate each PAG's mission while working in tandem with one another to drive research and provide superior support for all patients and their families. So our PAG committee mandate is to understand what the needs of the leukodystrophy PAG community are, and then make recommendations to the ULF board on services and resources the ULF should offer and support in those needs. The PAGs are very supportive of the ULF building a PAG program. We sent a survey out to probably 40 different PAGs and seeing what kind of needs the community had. So 100% of the PAGs that returning the survey said they were very interested in the ULF building a program that would help support the PAGs. So below we've got kind of a breakdown of the survey results. So our highest ranking efforts were in grant writing, grant searching, patient registry expertise, fundraising support, and representation at conferences. People about in the middle ranking of the groups who are on donor management, social media communications, family recruitment and relations, admin assistance, teleconferencing, webinars, type events, and then conference organization. And of interest, but not top, were different chances to coordinate scientific advisors, newsletters, state solicitations, graphic design, legal counsel, annual reports, bookkeeping information, and preps of a 990. So we obviously can't do all of them. So we decided let's start here with the highest ranking programs. So what we did is we've formed PAG working groups, and we've have 5 of us, Christy and myself, then are kind of spearheading this effort to have a main focus working group. And then what we did is we took each of these recommendations, how the ULF can help PAGs raise more money, patient registry expertise to support PAG registry efforts, and then representation at conferences. So what we're doing is we created work groups with each one of these highlighted efforts. And so that's kind of been our focus of what we want to do. Kind of wanted to throw in a little bit and talk about our involvement with all the PAGs. What we've done is we're setting up a quarterly meeting with all the PAGs to get together so we can talk about each of these initiatives. And so our initial meeting, I believe, is back in April. We had about 25 organizations that participated in the initial meeting. So that was really a very good turnout. Next week, we have our second meeting. And so at that meeting, we will talk with them about the initiatives and in each of these areas and see what we can do to work together to build it out, and see what kind of feedback we get from our recommendation. So I believe fundraising was one of the top issues, and it's a core capability required by every PAG. If we don't raise money, we're not going to be here. So the highest ranking capabilities identified from the survey involved raising money. These were grant searching, grant writing, and fundraising support. So each of the PAGs, when you have 40 of them, they're at different levels of maturity in their development plans, and there would be benefits to collaborating, to sharing across the PAGs to gain economies of scale. So this would save the PAGs time and money. And we have some organizations that are part of this that are less than a year old. So this is really going to be something that's going to be beneficial to them. So one of the ideas is, okay, do we have create a pool of full-time PAG development director facilitated through the ULF to support multiple PAGs that would allow for a higher scaled resource person to be hired. So one of the recommendations is, to determine the PAG's need for development support, and then have our working groups formulate an approach for a pooled resource, and then approach that would look like to provide individual PAG support, and at the same time looking at finding synergies across our PAGs. So any pooled resources would need to be co-funded by the PAGs that are participating. So this is part of the collaborative effort that we want to do. And I've said from the beginning, the ULF does not have resources to fund this operation. So that's why we call it a collaborative effort. And I think we're really excited about the response that we are getting from the groups. And if we can make each other grow, it's just going to make the leukodystrophy space create more awareness, and that's the ultimate goal. The next area is developing and maintaining a quality patient registry. Obviously requires expertise and support. So PAGs, first of all, are at different levels of maturity in developing, maintaining, and maturing their patient registries. About 70% of the PAGs have some sort of a registry. So there's something out there, but there's always things that we can do to make each one of them better. There's a lot of different ways you can set up registries. There are a multitude of options out there, but they're very complex and they're very overwhelming. We we think it'd be beneficial for available resources to be simplified, consolidated across the leukodystrophy PAGs on a shared repository. So we're looking into that possibility. One of the recommendations would be for the ULF to hire a consultant with patient registry expertise to develop a simplified and practical step-by-step registry guide that can be used across the PAGs, to establish a patient registry working group among the PAG leaders to work with a consultant, dive deeper into the leukodystrophy patient registry landscape, to make further recommendations on the support required. We do have the working group that is working in the registry space. And then if we can create a leukodystrophy Google group or something that we leverage for questions on patient registries as well as other topics. One of the things with our work with the GLIA CTN, which is a grant from NIH, is there is a possibility of a no-cost registry to set up through NIH and their group, the DMCC, that will host a registry. So that's one of the things that we are looking at this time. And obviously the nice part about that would be that there's really no cost. Probably the cost would be to buy someone's time to kind of monitor the whole process. So it wouldn't be so much, it would probably be more of hiring a consultant to do some of that work. So all of this that we're talking about today is we're early on, but we really want to do what we can to move this forward. The other thing that came out was, how do we do representation at conferences to create awareness and educate and create valuable connections? For me personally, conferences are a place where I was able to start making connections with pharma, with organizations, rare disease organizations like NORD, Global Genes, and then going to a conference like the Child Neurology Conference in 2017, in which leukodystrophy was the main topic of discussion. We had a day's meeting there. That it's just an opportunity to really get out there and make awareness of leukodystrophy and say, hey, when you're doing having patients come in, think about a form of leukodystrophy, because these are some symptoms that you can have. So it's just to create awareness among the clinicians, researchers, pharma industry, anyone that could potentially be in our space. And so that's one of the things we do. And obviously the connections are made, and the ULF is one organization, but we have many organizations that have different connections, and just see the value in bringing all these connections together. I think that's a key point for us. So, our leaders learn new things at the conferences, and obviously it's not possible for PAG leaders to attend all the conferences. So, if we can do this in a teamwork, so what we want to try and do, and obviously we were hoping to establish a booth in 2021, but it probably will not be until 2022 when we're able to actually get out. But what we want to do is look at having a booth there, just to create the awareness of leukodystrophy, and it helps make connections that way. In a large Global Genes, NORD, we have a booth there. Industry partners are cruising through, so you can create awareness there. So that's really what we want to try and do. So we want to create some materials, handout materials, and see what we can do. So we're looking, obviously, for any pharma support that we can do for this type of work. So I think the biggest thing is, we can maybe focus on different leukodystrophy conferences, or not different medical conferences that are like the ophthalmologists. We've got several leukodystrophies that eyes are part of the thing, so we can have a booth there and have, 3 or 4 representatives that have eye issues as part of the problem, and have those people there, and they can really explain to the medical people what's out. So that's, I think, bring back information, and then we can share with each other. And so we're working on finding a collaborative way to make that happen as well. So kind of a little review, we're reviewing and getting approval for the recommendations from the ULF Board of Directors. Part of that will be in our conversation next week to see where we're at. And we've already discussed that as a board. And so now we want to take it to the community and then get feedback from them. June through September, part of it is socializing program recommendations to the community. We want the working group people to buy into this whole project, because it's a collaborative effort, and we want to keep it that way. Through October through December, we'll have working groups to advance the various parts of the program, and then building out the detailed rollout plan. And obviously the next key is the secure required funding. We hope that industry will want to support this, and just from initial feedback for our ULF conference this year, there is interest from the pharma community to see this as a very valuable tool. So we're excited about that, and we look forward to that support. And then 2022 is to roll it out and see what we get doing. So our PEGs, our working groups, will continue to meet and develop the programs. As we learn from it, we'll see what's good, what's bad, and we'll make the program worthwhile. But I think it's a collaborative effort that I'm excited to see, and I wanted to see from day one. And to be totally honest, it's something that should have been done, but now that we've had the turnover in the ULF from a founder organization to a board-run organization, I think we are really ready to move forward on these next steps. I'm real excited about the future of this program, and we can't do that without the support of all the other PEGs and our collaborative efforts. And I think it's going to be a win-win for everybody. And so I'm really excited about that. So with that, I will end my presentation, and I think we'll turn it over to Savannah and Alan and let them talk about the Holtman Family Assistance Program. And also Alan will report on the fundraising after that.
Well, hello, everyone. First, I want to apologize and hope that I'm coming through okay, because I do not have the best internet where I'm at. And unfortunately, I haven't been able to bring up my notes, but that's, here and there, that's the joy of this electronic world. We are very pleased to announce that we will be having a financial assistance program starting here shortly, due to the generous donation by the Holtman Family Trust, as a result, named after one of their sons who passed away from ALD. The purpose of this trust is to help needy people as a result of the pandemic. And again, we hope to start it real soon. The purpose of it is to, again, help families who have suffered as a result of the pandemic. And we'll be sending out more information about this later. But the idea is, if you're in need of medical supplies, if you're in need of medication, if you're in need of equipment, even if you're way back in past rent, just where you're really suffering, we have funds available that we will be using to help provide assistance. And, at the same time, kind of blending into the fundraising. We have a fundraising drive that we had recently, our benefit drawing, and those funds were geared directly to the Holtman Foundation to help keep the program alive and keep it going, so that we'll have these funds in the future to be able to provide assistance to families in need. Sivan, how would you like to add something to it? Again, I'm sorry, my notes just are not coming up on my other screen.
That's okay. No, Alan, that was great. Yeah, we are super excited for the generosity of the Holtman family. And with that, there's a great honor in terms of the community we've met and talking about how do we make sure that we are protecting and utilizing. There's a lot of words and a lot of thoughts and emotions, but also really in terms of the tactical pieces, we're really trying to iron all of that out to make sure that we have a robust, solid, really generous program. Of course, with any type of grant or when people are getting financial aid, we want to make sure that we have a process in place where we vet and have some clarity in terms of who falls within that scope. Right now, some things maybe that I can just share high level. I guess I would say those that have had a significant financial hit or change that they've experienced. So some of those pieces will play a part into that. And that's the behind the scenes work that we are making sure that we really do a good job so that we can really ensure that folks that are donating to the organization know that those funds are being cared for.
We know there's been a lot of hardship throughout the past year and a half, and we want to ease some of the parents any way that we can. While we like to provide funding for grants for research, the Holtman Foundation is something that we step away from the research and we're able to give back to the community where it's necessary, where it's highly needed. Because as those of you with a child with a leukodystrophy, how burdensome it can be to deal with all the medical crises that come up and the bills that are out there. And then you add to that COVID. And so we're out there to try and make life a little bit easier and to help out where we can. And again, this will be kicked off here shortly, and watch the ULF newsletter for more information. As far as fundraising, and Sivan, you're also involved in the committee on that, so bear with me. The ULF obviously runs on donations. We're able to, through Bob's hard work, we've been able to get money through the pharmas to help maintain the conference and other programs that we have going on. But that only provides a small amount of the money needed to both keep the doors open and to allow us to provide the research grants that we get at the end of the year. With your help, we can increase our fundraising and help keep the doors open, help provide funding for the PAD programs, the ambassador programs, and everything that we have going on. While it's hard to do a national fundraising program because we're obviously spread out throughout the U.S. And we have small communities within our own cities that may have families with leukodystrophies, we end up relying on families within the individual cities and towns to provide their own fundraising efforts to help support the ULF. And what we'd like to do is try and tie this all together so that we have a good working group around the country to help support the ULF. There's a lot of different ways of raising money. It can be something very simple, like Some of the chain restaurants will have a day where the profits of that day will go to a foundation, an organization. I just read recently about the Value Village will provide funding for your organization. And there's so many different ways out there. And at the same time, if you have ideas, we'd certainly like to hear from you. And if you'd like to be on our fundraising committee, again, Bob gave you the phone number and the email address, ulf.org. And we'd love to hear from you. And we'd love to get you involved in the organization to help provide fundraising. We do have plans for various fundraisers throughout the end of the year, but they only provide a small majority of the money that's needed. And you always hear organizations crying for money. And we've been fortunate during COVID to maintain our income, so to say. And we want to keep it up with everything that we have planned for the future and the future growth. We need your help in raising money for the organization. So with that, Sivan, anything else to add?
I do. I love how you positioned it. A couple things that jump out to me, whether it's live right now, folks are listening, or people come back and listen to this recorded. If you're interested in being on the committee, the fundraising committee, please email office@ulf.org. We would love to have your ideas. We promise not to use up too much of your time, but you pull in every great input and idea and suggestion you have. The second is, Alan talked about some easy wins. Okay, that sounds very business-like. So let me step back. There's some really fun opportunities to have some big rewards financially. He had talked about some that he had just run across recently. I know Facebook is, people around the world are using that. One that I'd like to put a plug in for, and folks, bear with me because there's a couple ways to describe it. People call it employer matching donations, corporate matching gift programs. The short of the long, companies will do, some will have a matching program for employees, from which I think all you, in my experience, you just need the IRS EIN or that tax ID of the ULF, connect with your HR, finance team, and just talk with them if it's not on that company website. It's amazing what's happening and sometimes employees don't know about. So I would encourage you, because sometimes the match, for example, Cargill in some instances is 5-to-1. So think of the impact that you can have in terms of your dollars going towards the ULF. Any questions about that? Again, email the office and we would love to help partner with you, whether it's you at your company, a spouse, a cousin, a neighbor, let us help you.
PayPal also, when you purchase items on PayPal, PayPal will also provide donations to the organization. And it's smile.paypal.com. And once you enter the organization in there, anytime you will purchase something from PayPal, donation, not a lot, but some goes towards the organization. And like I say, every penny counts. Facebook again, you have, if your birthday is noted in there, PayPal will send you a note that your birthday is coming up. How about setting up a fundraiser? And it's a very, very worthy way of providing money for the organization. And so with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Bob.
All right, thanks, Alan. I've got short time frame here, but this is okay because I don't have a 10-minute long talk for anybody, so that's a good thing. I just want to talk a little bit about CTX initiatives and the patient-focused drug development program. Over the last year, we've helped start a new nonprofit called CTX Alliance. what this nonprofit is going to accomplish is be a standalone entity that we will work together to support, but it will be funded by the CTX families and their supporters. What this is going to allow is for a more focused effort to help help the CTX families navigate the Food and Drug Administration and also the Advisory Committee on Heritable Diseases in Newborn Children when CTX is brought before them, so we can get CTX added to the screening panel. Having a focused nonprofit will obviously give them a little bit better visibility, and there is a new website for CTX that we're going to link through our website. So ULF is going to be there to support their efforts in the future. So if you're interested in CTX, they do have a session that you can learn a little bit more about what's going on in the CTX world, and that's at 4 o'clock Central Time this afternoon if you want to learn a little bit more. The other thing is their PFDD for CTX. That's going to be held on September 14th in 2021. PFDD stands for Patient-Focused Drug Development. It's a program that's within the FDA, and it's an opportunity to share with the FDA information about your disease and why interventions are necessary for the treatment of your disease. MLD and Krabbe disease have had focus meetings over the last couple of years, and they've been very valuable resource and information that goes out. I'd like to encourage you to come into the PFDD session that we're going to have later today at 5:30 Central Time. It's under the heading of PFDD Meetings 101, and that session will give everyone a good idea of what a PFDD is, and we will have some MLD and Krabbe representatives talk about their experience. So you'll learn a little bit more, and we also will have our leader from Kith Collective that is doing our production for the CTX PFDD. She will be leading that discussion, so she will help you understand more about what it takes to put one of these on, and so it's really a good opportunity. So it's we've been working with the Kith Collective for several months, and now what they're working on is this week is the big announcement about the PFDD at our conference, and so they'll be working really hard on gathering speakers for their presentation, and the meeting is virtual. So the valuable part of that is the fact that we'll be able to have speakers from around the world describe their life with CTX. It also creates an opportunity for more members of the FDA to participate and learn more about CTX. I think this real positive thing that we had out of the meeting was just the fact, other meetings is the fact that there were so many people there, and the more people in the FDA you can educate, the better thing is. So we've only got a couple of minutes. If there's a quick question, go ahead and ask before we get shut off. So I'll turn it over, and especially thank all of you for attending this in person. And I hope that those that watch it afterward will gain some other insights to what we're doing here at the ULF. If you'd like, you can raise your hand in the chat and the participant there, and we can get you unmuted. Okay, maybe we did a good enough job. Chris, do you want to close it out?
Well, I want to thank everyone for coming to join us.
You just went on mute, Chris.
I don't know why that happened. I want to thank you all for coming. The conference is a busy time, and we appreciate your taking this particular time period to learn a little bit more about what the foundation is doing. We do want your support in whatever way works for you, and however it works, you will be advancing what ULF is trying to do. I hope what you've heard today has excited you. If you have any questions, by all means, email office@ulf.org or Chris Rice at ulf.org, and we'll be happy to respond to you. Thank you again.
Thanks, everyone.